Good evening, everyone. Today, I want to share a story about power, abuse, and the hidden legal rights most homeowners don't even know they have. A story about how one man, without yelling, without fighting, dismantled an entire HOA using a single legal loophole, and it all started the moment he turned onto his street and found it blocked. Imagine driving home after a long day. You're tired, hungry, ready to relax, but instead, you find a bright orange barricade across your own road. That's exactly what happened to Mark. He stepped out of his car confused, only to see a group of HOA board members standing proudly like they own the whole neighborhood. They told him, "Road closed, HOA project. You can park elsewhere." Mark lived there for 9 years, paid his dues on time, never caused trouble. Yet suddenly he was treated like a trespasser. This wasn't a project, it was a power play. This HOO wasn't like most. They had become a little kingdom issuing fines for uncut grass, for trash bins being out too long, even fines for parking too confidently. Residents whispered about them. No one stood up to them. Everyone feared retaliation, but Mark, he wasn't angry, he was curious. Something didn't add up. When Mark calmly asked why the road was blocked, the HOA president, a man who loved authority more than oxygen, smirked. "You don't get to say the HOA approved it," Mark replied. "Where?" "Show me the vote." The board froze. No meeting minutes. No homeowner vote, no permit. Just a decision made by three people who thought because we said so was a legal justification. That's when Mark realized they slipped up badly. Mark noticed something odd. The barricade. It wasn't issued by the city. There were no municipal tags, just hardware store signs. This meant this wasn't a city-approved road closure. This was an illegal obstruction of public access. He now had the evidence he needed. That night, Mark pulled out his HOA contract, the one everyone signs but nobody reads. He discovered three critical things. First, the HOA cannot alter or obstruct public roads. His street wasn't private property. It was owned by the city. Second, the HOA had never filed their annual corporate renewal, meaning legally they were not a functioning corporation, they were dissolved, but still acting like an HOA. And third, any HOA action without homeowner approval is void. And they hadn't held a single legal vote in years. Mark didn't get mad. He got strategic. Mark prepared 3 documents. First, a formal complaint to the city stating the HOA illegally blocked a public road. Second, a notice to all the homeowners informing them that the HOO had forfeited its corporate status. And third, a petition to dissolve the HOA entirely since there was no legal board, no legal votes, no legal authority, and nobody wanted them anyway. He didn't threaten the HOA, he simply shared the truth. The reaction was volcanic. Homeowners who'd suffered years of petty punishments suddenly discovered they didn't have to live under this regime. The city arrived to remove the barricades. They demanded the HOA president explain why he closed a public street. He couldn't. The HOO board tried to hold an emergency meeting. But without legal corporate status, their meeting was as legitimate as a child's tea party with imaginary guests. When Mark submitted the dissolution petition, most homeowners signed instantly. The HOA president raged, "You can't do this. We're in charge." But the city replied, "No, you're not. You haven't been a legal entity for 6 months." With zero legal authority left, the HOA collapsed overnight. The signs came down. The fines vanished. The community finally breathed. Interestingly, after the HOA dissolved, neighbors came together more than ever. No more fear, no more power trips, no more grass police. Mark wasn't a hero. He wasn't a rebel. He simply understood the system better than the people abusing it. He replaced fear with knowledge, and knowledge won. So what's the lesson? Bullies don't need to be confronted with fists or fury. Sometimes all it takes is reading the rules they thought you'd ignore. Mark didn't break the law. He simply used it and exposed people who thought they were untouchable. The road they tried to block, it's wide open now. And so is the neighborhood's freedom. Thanks for watching.